Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, Chapter 5. Hunting when the heart is a lonely hunter. Skeleton woman facing the life, death, life, nature of love. Wolves are good at relationships. Anyone who has observed wolves sees how deeply they bond. Mates are most often for life. Even though they clash, even though there is dissension, their bonds carry on. Their bonds carry them over and through harsh winters, plentiful springs, long walks, new offspring, all predators, tribal dances and group sings. The relational needs of humans are no different. While the instinctual lives of wolves include loyalty and lifelong bonds of trust and devotion, humans sometimes have trouble with these matters. If we were to use archetypical terms to describe what determines the strong bonds among wolves, we might surmise that the integrity of their relationships is derived from their synchronization with the ancient pattern of all nature, what I call the life-death-life cycle. The life-death-life nature is a cycle of animation, development, decline, and death that is always followed by reanimation. This cycle affects all physical life in all facets of psychological life. Everything, the sun, novas, and the moon, as well as the affairs of humans and those of the finest creatures, cells, and atoms alike, has this fluttering, then fluttering, then fluttering again. Unlike humans, wolves do not deem the ups and downs of life, energy, power, food, new opportunity as startling or punitive. The peaks and valleys just are, and wolves ride them as efficiently, as fluid as possible. The instinctual nature has the miraculous ability to live through the positive boon, all negative consequences, and still maintain a relationship to self and others. Among wolves, the cycles of nature and fate are met with grace and wit, and the endurance to stay tight with one's mate to live long and well as can be. But in order for humans to live and give loyalty in this most fit manner, in this way which is most wise, most preserving, most filling, one has to go against the very tiling one fears most. There is no way around, as we shall see, one must sleep with Lady Death. In wise stories, love is seldom a romantic tryst between two lovers. For instance, some stories from the circumpolar regions describe love as the union of two beings, whose strength together enables one or both to enter in communication with the soul world and to participate in fate as dance with life and death. The story I am about to relate to you is a hunting story about love. It is set in the frozen north. To understand this story, we have to see that there, in one of the harshest environments and one of the most stressed hunting cultures in the world, love does not mean flirtation or pursuit for a simple ego pleasure, but a visible bond compound of the psychic sinew of endurance, a union which prevailed through bounty and austerity. Through the most complicated and most simple days and nights, the union of two beings is seen as Angakok magic in itself, as a relationship through which the powers that be become known to both individuals. But there are requirements for this kind of union. In order to create this enduring love, one invites the third partner to the union. The third partner I call Skeleton Woman. She could also be called Lady Death, and such. She is another life-death-life figure in one of its many guises. In this form, Lady Death is not a disease, but a deity. In a relationship, she has the role of the oracle who knows when it's time for the cycles to begin and end. As such, sight is a wildish aspect of relationship, the one of whom men are most terrified, and sometimes women also, for when faith is the transformative has been lost, the natural cycles of increase and attrition are feared as well. To create enduring love, Skeleton Woman must be admitted to that relationship and be embraced by both lovers. Here, in an old Inuit setting and amplified into an original literary story from a short 5-line spoken poem given me by Mari Ukalat, is the Skeleton Woman. Here too the psychic stages for mastery of her embrace. Let us spear the images which rise from the smoke of this tale. Skeleton Woman. She had done something which her father disapproved. She has done something which her father disapproved, although no one any longer remembered what it was. But her father had dragged her off the cliffs and thrown her over and into the sea. There the fish ate her flesh away and plucked out her eyes. As she lay under the sea, her skeleton turned over and over in the currents. One day a fisherman came fishing. Well, in truth, many came to this bay once, but this fisherman had drifted far from his home place. Did not know that the lucky fisherman stayed away, saying this inlet was haunted. The fisherman's hook drifted down through the water and caught, of all places, in the bones of the skeleton's woman's ribcage. The fisherman thought, "Oh, now I've really got a big one. Now I really have one." In his mind he was thinking of how many people his great fish will feed and how long it will last. How long they might be free from the chore of hunting, and as he struggled with this great weight on the end of the hook, he was tired to a thrashing froth. And his kayak bucked and shook, for she who was beneath struggled to disentangle herself. And the more she struggled, the more she tangled in the line. No matter what she did, she was inexorably dragged upward, tugged up by the bones of her own ribs. The hunter had turned the scoop up his net, so he did not see the balls held raised above the waves. He did not see the little colored creatures glinting in the orbs of her skull. He did not see the crustaceans on her old ivory teeth. When he turned back with his net, her entire body, such as it was, came to surface, and it was hanging from the tip of his kayak by her long front teeth. "Ah!" cried the man, and his heart fell into his knees. His eyes hid in terror on the back of his head, and his ears blazed bright red. "Oh!" he screamed, and knocked her off the prow of his oar and began paddling like a demon towards shoreline. And not realizing she was tangled in his line, he was frightened all the more, for she appeared to stand upon her toes while chasing him all the way to shore. No matter which way he seized his kayak, she stayed right behind, and her breath rolled over the water in clouds of steam, and her arms flailed out as though to snatch him down into the depths. He waved and he ran aground. In one leap he was out of the kayak, clutching his ancient stick and running, and the white corpse of the skeleton woman still snagged in the ashen line, bumpety-bumped behind right after him. Over the rocks he ran and she followed. Over the frozen tundra he ran and she kept right up. Over the meat laid out to the drying he ran, cracking it to pieces, and his musculus bore down. Throughout it all she kept right up, in fact grabbed some of the frozen ash as she was dried behind. This she began to eat, for she had not gorged in a long time. Finally the man reached his snow house and dove right into the tunnel. On the hands and knees scrabbled his way into the interior. Panting and sobbing he lay there in the dark, his heart drum, a mighty drum, Safe, alas, oh so safe, yes safe, thank to the gods, Raven, yes, thank Raven, yes, all the bountiful Sedna, safe at last. Imagine when he hears the well oil lamp, there she it laid in a tumble upon his snowy floor, one heel over her shoulder, one knee inside her rib cage, one foot over her elbow. He could not say later what it was, perhaps an air light softened her features, or the fact that he was a lonely man. But a feeling of some kindness came into his breathing, and slowly he reached out his grimy hands and, using words softly like a mother to a child, began to untangle her from the ashen line. Oh, no, no, no. First he entangled the toes, and then the ankles. Oh, no, no, no. On and on he worked into the night until dressing her in furs to keep her warm. Skeleton Woman's bones were all in order a human's should be. Skeleton Woman's bones were all in the order a human's should be. He fell into the leather cuffs of his flint and used some of his hair to light a little more liar. He gazed at her from time to time as he oiled the precious wood of his fishing stick and rewound the gut line. As she in the forest uttered no word, she did not dare, lest the hunter take her out and throw her down the rocks and break her bones to pieces utterly. The man became drowsy, slid under the sleeping skins, and soon he was dreaming. And sometimes as humans sleep, a tear escapes from the dreamer's eye. We never know what sort of dream causes this, but we know it is either a dream or of sadness, of longing, and this is what happened to the man. The Skeleton Woman saw the tear glisten in the firelight, and she became suddenly so thirsty. She tingled and clanked and crawled over the sleeping man and put her mouth to his tear. The single tear was like a river, and she drank and drank and drank until her many years-long thirst was slaked. Then, while lying beside him, she reached inside the sleeping man and took his heart, the mighty drum. She sat up and banged on both sides of it, boom, boom, boom. As she drummed, she began to sing out, flesh, 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 flesh. And the more she sang, the more her body filled out with flesh. She sang for hair and good eyes and nice fat hands. She sang that divide between her legs, and breaths long enough to wrap for warmth and all the things a woman needs. And when she was done, she also sang the sleeping man's close self, crept into his bed with him, skin against skin. She returned the great drum, his heart, to his body, and this is how they awaken, wrap one another, tangle with their night together, in another way now, a good and lasting way. The people who cannot remember how she came to her first ill fortune say she and the fisherman went away and were constantly well fed by creatures she had known in her life underwater. The people say that it is true, and that is all they know.